Yeah, me too.
Tortoise. Yes,
Sorry,
so,
not a turtle, a tortoise.
yes,
That's
so
crazy.
I had him since 13 years and he was this thick. And now he's this thick. Yes, and, when we moved into Atlanta, you know, I was like, and my aunt's neighbor was like, I'll take him. The biggest backyard and it worked out really well, because now I get to visit him and see him. So on Easter, I went to my aunt's house and I got to see him.
Does he like recognize?
Yes,
Really?
absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have lettuce in my hand and they're very food motivated, but, oh yeah, he remembers me. And it's just so cute. He sees me and he's really excited. He loves it for Christmas. Yeah, it's cold. Yeah, it's spring, he's like, yay, my little boy. So, those aren't even my dogs.
I know.
They're my
That
aunt's
fact,
dogs.
that tortoise is the one that.
I know.
Well, it was a stop sign.
Everyone's posting these two pictures.
Hey, how you doing? It's so good to see you. How are you?
I appreciate it a lot.
Well, you know, some.
Good.
I just wanted to.
Sorry, I was reading.
Brenda, how was your
I mean, I know they're doing this work together, getting
Yes.
senior placement means there's a school we're gonna do.
Have fun. It was good.
Updates to up 666. Well, I was measuring.
I got you. Well, we were.
Yeah, it's about 30 minutes run.
I
I think that's all standing plates or something.
Yeah, it wasn't as nice.
Yeah. They were quite tiny.
Oh, just us.
Cool.
Right, John is there, I was doing it, and I had to revise it and don't measure my time.
Hey, ready to do?
Yeah.
I look forward to it. It's gonna be fun. That's all. Good morning, everybody. Let's go and get started.
Okay.
Somebody give me some good news.
The Braves finally won one.
Good, good.
You won.
Several. Brad, good morning.
Hey, good morning, my friend.
How are you, sir? Good to see you. All right. Braves are winning. Sean told me that just a few minutes ago. The Braves are winning 4 in a row, I think you told me. Is that right? Good. I like that kind of rhetoric. I like that good news. Other good news. Give me some good news.
Oh my goodness, pollen's almost over?
Who likes that good news? 100%. Who in here does the pollen bother them a lot? Bothers you a lot? Bothers you a lot, and you a lot. Doesn't bother me hardly at all, so anyway, at least not this year.
Are you from Georgia?
Am I what?
From Georgia?
Virginia.
Yeah, pollen didn't bother me until I moved to Georgia. And then everywhere else.
I'm fine, same.
I'm kind of like that. It didn't bother you moved to Georgia, that's what I've been here since 1980, so I guess I'm from Georgia, right? I've lived here longer than any other place, which is cool, so, anyway, guys. So, anyway, good morning to you. Our clock back there is a little bit slow, you need to fix that. But anyway, please don't forget to tag us on our Facebook page, guys. Please make sure that you do that because it gives us a chance to be exposed to multiple Facebooks and social media, so please scan us. I mean, please make sure that you add us to your Instagram post or whatever, so please do that. Because it helps us and you also. Y4C2Ts. Brad, look up here and tell me which one is your favorite Y4C2Ts. Which one jumps out at you?
Which one of those is my favorite?
Or jumps out at you this morning?
Well, it's not just because it's up top, but I was taught it a long time ago when I first started getting into real estate. If it's not a win-win, it's not good for anybody.
Okay, tell me more about that.
It's just, and I appreciate you calling on me, Jim, because everybody else, I haven't been here in quite a while, so you put me on the spot a little bit. But the reason that is just so important to me is because it can never be just about you. If it's about you, the way I feel about that is if it's about you, and first of all, just within self, it should never be just about you. But if it's just about you and anybody smells that, you're done, you're toast. Not just with that client, but as possibly any referrals you might be getting from that client. And that's just what the win-win speaks to me.
That's well stated, I like that. So win-win, no deal, and I get that, because
Win-win, no deals is how I look at it.
I like it, man. Good to see you. All right, guys, let us move on. Broke Open House today. If you can go do this, it is on 500, what is it, Floyd? Floyd Road, exactly right, in Calhoun, Georgia. Is that outside the perimeter, guys? 1.6 million, boy, it's beautiful. Wow.
That's worth 1.6 million.
If you have time to go by and help her out with it, that'll be great. I know she'd love to see you, and that is going on today. And raffle for 4 $50 gift cards. I like that. I love that $50, man. Okay, our Alliance partner. Come on up here, Alliance partner.
Hello,
Are you Thomas or Brown?
King and queen. So, we did our fair housing class this month. We had amazing turnout for it, so I was really very,
Good.
very happy with and the discussion was absolutely great. There was a ton of audience participation for it. So all of my posts this month are about the fair housing. Some of the information about like the comfort animals are on there. That always gets a very lively discussion as to the animal situation. But I think what I'm getting in my email right now tends to be a lot of like how important a deadline is and missed deadlines. So I know Sherry had sent me something last week about like the timeline for offers. And I know I was helping another agent in the last week where the seller had sent over an offer to make repairs and the buyer signed it on the deadline, but never sent it back to the other side until the following day, and due diligence had ended that evening. So, you know, and the agent said, well, they signed it, isn't that good enough? And I'm like, gotta get it back to the other, I said, and under that theory, you could sign it and hold it for a year and send it back, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're a year late or a minute late, you're still late for your deadline, so.
I like that.
I like it too, but I'm turning off.
It's very jazzy. I think the last time I had a phone that rang was like 5 versions ago. Like I don't even know how to turn on the ringer on my phone, but it buzzes my watch, so,
Yeah, exactly.
so
Mine
I
does both.
definitely get it. But whatever way you need to have to track what your deadlines are and making sure, I'm a huge David Allen person. Mind like water, don't try and remember things. There's way too much going on in our lives. So whatever way you can to make that stuff pop up in front of you at the time that it's supposed to. I'm very electronic. If you've ever seen Carrie Green around here, she walks around with like a Lily Pulitzer paper planner. That would drive me like absolutely batty, but it's whatever works for the person, but just making sure you're tracking those deadlines and staying ahead of it, because deadlines are tough, right?
One called me last week and said, you know, Jim, we had a 10 o'clock a.m. deadline on, and they did not respond by that time. And I went, they don't have to.
Right.
They don't have to. They said, why not? I said, they don't have to.
You can't make them. There's repercussions when they do not, but yeah. It'd be nice if we all responded to each other and communicated back and forth, but yeah, just being super duper duper careful, because all of those things, it's the technical parts, right? If we weren't worried about the technicalities of it, we wouldn't have contracts at all. We'd all just have handshake agreements and hopefully everybody would go to closing. The contracts are all about the technicalities.
While you're up here, what is the one most misunderstood thing about fair housing? The one that you run against the most? Anything come to mind?
I think where I see it blown the most is probably in the advertising and in the way the properties are described. And by that, I mean, they're not describing the property, but they're describing the people that should be in the property. And part of it you understand, because if advertising tries to paint a picture, right? Like so that people can see themselves there. But when you're trying to paint a picture of who should be there, you are by definition excluding other people from that picture. So I think that that's probably, and not because people are trying to discriminate, not because they're bigots, not because they have any particular issue with anyone. They're trying to be very descriptive, and you really do need to talk about what the property has and not who it would be great for. So I think that's and that'll get you in trouble because obviously by definition it's advertising, which means it's out there and other people are gonna see it. And a lot of the complaints that Greg gets and the board gets are, for all sorts of things, are usually related to someone who has an issue with you that's wholly unrelated to that advertisement, right? It's sour grapes or jealousy or whatever else. So don't give people the ammunition and, don't exclude people because that's what you're doing when you're trying to draw a picture. So.
You taught me in your class, I think in your class, that master bedroom is actually okay to say.
It actually is, but the other thing that we talked about in the classes is just because something is legally okay doesn't mean it's the best way to do something, right? So, you have, do you wanna win a war or do you wanna never have to have fought a battle? And the latter is the better way to go. So for the ones that we have easy words for, like primary bedroom, everyone knows exactly what you're talking about. That adjective works absolutely fine. And because some people may not know that the word master bedroom is legally okay, you may have turned someone off unintentionally. And the one that we have debated the most, where I don't think that there's another good way to say it, is the Jack and Jill bathroom. Like it's so descriptive that you understand it. And the issue with it is, I mean, I don't know why, because you're usually talking about siblings anyway, so who the heck cares what the genders are of those. But I don't feel like there's another good way to describe, because people are like, well, an attached, I'm like, attached to what? Like the whole thing is, it's a picture of two bedrooms that share a bathroom in between them. So someone in one of the other classes said, well, what about J&J bathroom? Okay, if we can all adopt that and understand what it means, and we don't know, like, is it two Jills, is it two Jacks, is it like what the heck it is, but yeah. So if there are other words that some people are more delicate than others in terms of, there's a difference between what's legally defensible and what will turn somebody off.
Is master,
What?
is master inappropriate because it's a vestige of an inappropriate past?
It isn't directly related to that, and HUD has put out guidance that the word is absolutely fine, but the word can be triggering.
Okay, but that's.
I mean, and
why-
that's the point, right? Like, how about we not needlessly, like, put somebody off? Because the whole point of our advertising is to attract as many people as humanly possible. So since the word primary is just as great, if not better, I think that works just fine. But yeah.
I always remember teaching fair housing was the point is, it's not what you do to me, it's how you make me feel.
And that is the point of fair housing. It's not what we call an intentional tort. You don't have to be trying to do something wrong. It's the impact that you have on the other person that is important. So we have to think about what we're doing and how it's going to be received by people.
Can you explain that paragraph up on top?
Oh, Bethany took some of this stuff from my class. So there's some exemptions to fair housing. But the important thing to know for the fair housing exemptions is it's when you don't exist. So Mrs. Murphy's the little lady who rents out a room in her home. There's a FSBO exemption. There's a religious and private club exemption. And then obviously we have the allowances for properties that restrict age, like older properties to 55 and over and 62 and over. But yeah, so.
We love it when you come, Cheryl.
Thank you.
That's right. We love it when she comes in. Thank you, Cheryl. Good to see you as always. Thank you to our sponsors. Welcome, Residential Inspectors of America. You were here just last week. Come on back.
Yes, good morning. Good morning,
Glad you're back.
everybody. Thank you. Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good.
Devin Kelly with Residential Inspectors of America. So thank y'all for having me today. Wanted to discuss two quick things that we do offer I know we talked about it last week real quick, but pay at close option. So your clients actually can pay at the closing table as opposed to having that financial burden on them during the home buying experience. We also offer Liberty Home Guard. It's a free home warranty. It's given to every single client after closing. It's at 90 days after closing. So covers mechanical components, structural components, and basically it's free for your client as well. Gives them a peace of mind so that they can, file as many claims as they would like to if something goes wrong with the house. So other than that, I do have like I did last time, I do have a couple of gift cards. So if you can, I can give you a phone number real quick. You can send me a text, and I'll get those out here, or have two drawings, I guess you could say, real fast. So whenever you guys, 404-383-2288. Yeah, 404-383-2288. And all you have to do is just send a text just with your name on there. And I'll have those at the back. I'll be in the back. There's some breakfast back there, so you guys can enjoy that as well.
Right, but I do have one quick question. So you allow people that have their house inspected to pay at closing?
Yes.
If it doesn't close?
So if it does not close, so there is a credit card that we do put on file, obviously, so that they do have to pay for that if in the event something does happen that they don't close on the home. But again, it is something that, they can push all the way out to the closing table as well.
I love that, great, that's a great added incentive, you like it? Let's give them a hand, guys.
Thank y'all.
All right, moving on, welcome Shelley Berner. So Shelley, come on up. So Shelley and I were talking, and one of the things that we are I'm always interested in is how do you get your buyer clients to agree to pay you, and how do you get the sellers to be able to pay their portion of the commissions also, whether it's just their portion, the 3% or 2% or 9% or 10%, whatever it is, or it's also the buyer's portion. So I thought we would take a moment and talk about that this morning. And so Shelley, tell me what you've experienced out there.
No issues with buyers. Just explain the buyer's agreement with you. And so I never had anything coming out from buyers. And I do tell them that I will make sure this is basically giving them a guarantee. If they don't pay me, don't worry about it, but I do have to have it in writing. And if I get any kind of extra, because sometimes they'll say, oh, here's $1,000, or new construction, here's another $1,000, they'll get it back. So I never had any issues with buyer's brokerage agreement.
All right, so now tell me what you heard her just now say. What did she just now say? What did you hear?
She passes on any incentives that are given to her buyers.
Say it again.
She passes along any incentives that are given to the agent to her buyers.
Okay, all right. I like that. So you give them an incentive. If you get $1,000 bonus, you use it for closing costs, something like that, whatever they use it for, right? Okay. Okay, I like that. Okay, what else did you hear her say?
She communicates with the buyers.
Say it again.
She communicates with the buyers.
Okay, how did she do that?
When she explains the buyer brokerage agreement with them, she communicates how that compensation will take place.
Okay, I like that. What else did you hear?
That she's having more success with her buyer clients than she is with her seller clients.
Okay, all right. You heard that? Okay, all right. I did not hear that, but she's heard what Ms. Beth said that, so you pay attention more than I do. Okay, what else did you hear? All right, so let you and I role play that for a minute, and I'll be your buyer, and we're talking about the buyer brokerage agreement VBA, and so tell me about that. So what is this that you want me to sign here, Shelley? What is this?
This is a buyer's brokerage agreement, basically
Okay.
says on it that I represent you.
Okay.
At any time that I don't like you or you don't like me, we can tear this contract apart. Just
Okay.
send me an email, that's all I need to know at any time, even though there is expiration date on that.
So basically, if I'm unhappy with your services, we can get a divorce.
Correct. At the same time,
Right.
we may just not be a good match. So with all due respect, I like you, right, well, look, if I cannot see the opportunity that I can help you, then I will be upfront and tell you that we are not a good match.
All right, I also read on here, it says that I gotta.
So,
I gotta
excuse me
pay.
one second, so
Yeah,
on the
sure.
side note, y'all need, I am very, I come across really strong when I talk to people, needless to say.
Yeah.
But I really drive that point that it's not that they need to like me. I need to like them. Because I'll fire buyers all day long. I don't have time for, very wishy-washy people that are not nice, not polite, I can't handle them. It's too much drama for me. So that's a side note. But I really drive that point. So when you say that, they, in their mind, just think about it, if somebody tells you that, well, why would she wouldn't like me? And that is almost stepping them into saying, okay, so now we can discuss the buyer's compensation. So they need to understand that there is a value to that.
All right, so y'all, what do y'all think about that approach, that where you let your buyers know, yeah, you can fire me, but I can also fire you if you're being a PIA, I can fire you also. What do y'all think about that idea?
I think when you tell a client that, you're telling them, because I do tell my clients that, and I think there are several, and that might be more than several agents do not, because I hear people that are under contract with an agent tell me as soon as the agreement is up, I'm going to get me a new agent, because they were never told what you just said. And I think when you tell your client that up front, it just shows them how secure and comfortable you are with yourself and your services. Like, you're saying that because it's not gonna happen. Because of the service that you're going to give them.
Okay, all right, so you're willing to go out on a limb and say, I will fire you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
No
Who else did that? Yes, ma'am.
It also sets up the precedent that a lot of times people think that you work for me and I call the shots.
Yeah.
And it evens the playing field to say, we work together and I can fire you just as easily as you can fire me.
Absolutely.
I also, I'm sorry to
No, no,
interrupt,
but
so
go ahead,
I
please.
also, this is all prior to signing on this buyer agreement, going over these objections. We also send them, value proposition, buyer's value proposition, package. This is what we do, this is how we handle it, this is what we do, and why you should hire, why we should work together. What I'm worth to you. So, before I even have a conversation with that, as soon as they become potential buyer, they get it, like immediately, they get it like the day of. So I'm prepping it for this.
Do you all think intrinsically that most buyers understand how much we do for them?
No.
All right, so why not, Lilia? Why do you think they don't understand?
We don't tell them.
Some people come to real estate agent with idea that they had either from their previous experience or relatives or anybody who they got in contact with, that real estate agent, all they do just open the door. So for me, the most important to establish the value of our services. But besides that, as Shelley said, my approach is usually, it is employment agreement. You are employer, I am employee. If you hire me to work for you, I have to see that you value my job. If you don't see the value in me, the same way as you can fire me, I can fire you.
I like that, okay, I like that. Who else thinks that our buyers don't really know all that we do behind the scenes? Anybody want to share? How do you explain, because you talked about your value proposition, how do you explain your value proposition? Do you have something in writing for them? Do you tell them all you do? How do they know all the stuff that you do? How do you establish that?
So, most of my clients are referrals, but pretend you don't have referrals for a moment, right? It's just John Smith that was referred twice, what they call second level, and they don't know a thing about you. So you actually explain my history, how much, and exactly what do we do, how do we go and stage it, I have this assistant, I have that assistant, we take you all the way to closing, so it's very detailed. And by the way, it is on KW, if you're ever looking for something like that, it is on that value proposition packages, it's 100% on command. So I would highly recommend download it, you don't even have to read it, but you should read it, put your name in it, and send it over. So, and then you have a conversation with them, hey, by the way, did you receive my value proposition, so you can have a little bit of understanding of what do we do? Simple. So, yeah, so it's the same thing, like they argue about the commission, but I'm not going to talk about that, but yeah, I mean, why won't you give me part of your commission? All right, thank you very much, have a nice day, next.
Alright, so Shelley, let's assume we agree that I sign this thing and I'm happy, you're happy, but we get a deal and working on it and it does not go through and I call you screaming and go, Shelley, you really messed this up, you're not negotiating on my half, you're negotiating for the seller, I hate you, I want to terminate this agreement. And you say, good, let's terminate it, so you said, okay. Alright, then I go back and I buy that house, are you still protected?
Yes, only if I show them first, right?
Right.
And they are within my protective period.
So, yes, ma'am.
I thought if it was a mutual termination, you're not protected.
Alright, Sherry, you wanna weigh in on this?
Angela is correct. If you and your client part ways via termination of brokerage agreement, if it's mutual, your protection period does not exist. If it's terminated via unilateral, then your protection period does exist.
Right, so if a buyer sends you an email and says, I will no longer represent you, this is not gonna work, I don't want you anymore, I do not wish for you to represent me as a buyer, that's
It's considered unilateral.
unilateral, right? So I sit there quietly, zip my mouth,
Sorry, you do.
the less you talk, the better you are. Learn that a lot. Let them figure it out. I know the contract.
You guys, I just, I have to ask Sherry about this sometimes, and Sherry, which one we're supposed to use? But what she just now said was the unilateral gives you the right to do what?
To have your protective period.
Exactly right, Shelley. So,
Yeah.
we'll go in this sentence unilaterally, and then I'll accept it that
Right,
way.
and not only that, if I do, probably my entire career, I probably received it twice. I don't wish to work with you anymore. That was before even going under contract, and I always answer because you never know, don't close the door. So I always say, I wish you the best for you and your family, and let me know if you need anything.
Because sometimes they come back anyway, don't they? Exactly right, Shelley.
They do. So I had one like that, and you know what? He's on my profit share now. He became an agent and he's on my profit share.
Which I love. So Shelley, go back to the park for a minute if you would, because I'm really enjoying it. Go back to the park to where you put in whatever the commission you all think is appropriate, whether it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 10%, okay? And you put that in there and you explain to them that they have to sign this because that's what the law says. Now, I don't break the law, I want to make sure we follow the law, okay? But tell them how you explain, so what you're telling me is that if the seller will not pay the commission, I have to.
I guarantee that the seller will pay the commission to me, period.
Okay, what do y'all think about that?
And I don't say it, I don't have it in writing, I tell them that verbally. And they trust me, I mean, just think about it, up till now, I'm building up my trust with them. And I have a lot of conversation, I shouldn't say a lot, but I have many conversations. You gotta show value so they can trust you, so they'll be comfortable with that. But I don't put it in writing.
All right, guys, tell me what y'all think about that.
Risky.
Very risky.
Because what if
How
they're
can
only
you
getting
think-
1%?
Say it again.
Well,
Two from?
Okay, so that's where we're going.
Yeah, is that
Yeah,
okay?
wait, no, we are going we're gonna be discussing this 1%, 2%, whatever it is. That's where we're going. So I value my, I don't wanna sound too cocky, but I value my negotiation, that if somebody comes to me, a listing agent comes and said, I'm gonna give you just 1%, that is not going to happen in my book. I will handle it to make it 3%.
Okay.
How would you do it?
So that's where we're gonna discuss
Alright,
this.
so
Yeah.
give us some pointers on how you accomplish that, even though you're a great negotiator.
No, but
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go backwards for a moment, and so we finished this whole buyer's agreement. Now we are looking at properties, right, with a buyer. And I do think that you need to, obviously, prior to showing the property, you should find out what your buyer's compensation is. I mean, that would be smart, and to find out, right? So you have, let's say you show 4 properties, 3, 3, 3, 3, and a 1. Just to pretend, and that happened to me. So I am back in my head, I do not share it right away with my buyers, because I wait until to see if they're even gonna like that. Why have a conversation? Why start worrying the buyers if you don't even know if they're gonna like it or not? So I do talk to that listing agent, thinking in my head, okay, they're probably most likely really gonna like that, and I wanna get information from that listing agent why it is in 1%. Why buyer's agent is getting 1%. And that's where I start to, I don't really negotiate with the listing agent, but I just put seeds with the listing agent. So I discuss inventory, even if it is a seasonal agent. Sometimes with a seasonal agent, you can just do it in 1 sentence, right? And you obviously know, you should find out who is the other agent on the other side, look them up, see what their past is. And start to have them understand how many active houses there are on the market. And as you all know right now, it's a lot of inventory right now. So in a way, we're teaching having the listing agent understand how many listings there are on the market and what is the percentage from that listing that is going on the contract. And this is all in stats, which means that you gotta do your stats whatever you're doing. So have like a little conversation, why you're getting it, why it is. Well, and remember that I don't really care, it doesn't sound nice, but I don't really care how much a listing agent is getting. I really don't. I care about our compensation, my compensation, right? So if she doesn't want her mortgage to be paid, I do. I have a mortgage and a car payment, and I want that paid. So, sorry, well, that's your problem, Mr. Listing Agent, that you did not negotiate your commission with your seller. I'm not telling it to her, but I'm telling you this because back in my head is like, okay, so maybe she's not, as soon as she says that to me, because they let the listing agent talk, always let them talk. So as soon as she says, I'm only getting 1% because they start to talk, in my head is, all right, let me see how I can negotiate her. So that's one pointer. Find out who you know your stats, find out who you are against prior to showing, if there is an issue with that commission.
So how do y'all handle that out there right now? How are y'all handling it, overcoming they've offered this and we actually want this much, okay? We won't talk about numbers all the time, but how do y'all handle it right now? Yes, ma'am, how do you handle that?
Not well, not very professional.
That's very honest, I like that.
Well, and I've run across 2 listings recently, and I asked them what the compensation was. And they said that depends on how much you offer on the house. And I'm like, don't play games with me. Are you paying a compensation or not? Depends on how much.
That wasn't mine, yep. Yeah, so this is the objection. So I know that, I'm very familiar with that objection, right? So back again, let us go see the house. And if your buyer does really like it, right, so that's not one, then that's three. I try to dig in based on that and to say, so do you mind sharing what is the seller paying you? What you gonna lose? You know, what she's gonna say. Actually, they need to share it. They actually have to share it with you by law. Honest to God, by law, they need to share it with you. Right?
Does anyone know that for sure? I do not know that. Was
Yeah.
Cheryl?
Yeah,
Does
I
anyone know
remember
that for
Cheryl
sure?
taught us this, that they need, when you call, listing expired, they gotta tell, if you ask them what it is, they need to share it.
Well, if you heard that, then I'm sure it's true. If Cheryl says it's true, she would know that.
And so the pretend the listing agent is mean, is not nice, and she has none of your business. Okay, so you already know that you're dealing with somebody who is, she's probably not getting three, because otherwise she would have said to you something, or full commission, let's just call it this way, right? So, okay, mister, that's great. So now you are, I always say, when she says that, you do understand, we are showing 5 other homes. All the rest of the 5 homes do have full commission, just FYI to you.
All right, guys,
I'm
let's
sure
start
you
right
know
there.
that.
All right, so, what do y'all like about that? Tell me what you like about
It's
that.
strong,
Say it.
it's strong.
All right, tell me why you say that.
She's being very clear with both her client and the listing agent. A lot of agents don't even wanna have this conversation. If you ask the listing agent why they decided to negotiate your commission, that's a strong conversation for them to have to respond to. I think that your clients are gonna appreciate that, and so will the other agents.
Right.
I like that.
And you are helping that agent, really what you're doing is when they say that sentence, you are helping them to talk to the seller, to have the seller understand that. And sometimes an email is also really good to say, or a text message to say, hey, I just want, my name is so-and-so, I'll be showing, if you don't mind sharing this with your seller, or something like that. Do they have to send it? The answer is no, but if you don't try, you don't know.
All right, Virginia, what do you have to say?
The word full is a trigger for me, that implies there's a set commission.
Say it again?
When you said a full commission, that.
Well, I just said it here, but it's 3%, so let's just say 3% in our industry, yeah, full is 3%.
From my experience, most of the time, leasing agent will not share with you or with me, their portion of commission if they have 3%, and they're paying you less. Then for them it become kind of a gray area, so you open a position that you can negotiate. But it is what it is. I'm under contract right now where my buyer offered a full price and asked $5,000 for closing. They came back with 2.5%, for closing, and we accepted counter offer. They did not sign our counter offer until they came back with brokerage that they're reducing my commission, so this doing is $2,500 for closing coming out of my commission. And take it or leave it, we have other buyers. We are on the market since January, basically end of December, and none of houses they liked, and it was the first house where we are able to get under contract. It was on the market in January, then they took it off. My buyers looking for more properties, February, March, and we finally got on the contract. What should I tell them?
So I think that listing agent, whoever that is, the first, I try to befriend them. Because, if you befriend a listing agent, you never know. Second, you need to tell them that you have, because do you have any, I always befriend and I always have a conversation and I always try to move them to profit share. And let them know that you have, because it can go both ways, right? Because they may have buyers that you have the listing. In that situation, is not cool. And I literally say that in a nice way. I said, let me tell you something, if I get really pissed, then it goes the other way. Then I say, okay, if you have buyers and you'll come to my listings, I don't think you, Mr. Listing Agent, would want that to happen. So you figure out with the seller, put it on them, you figure out with the seller, but I'm gonna get 3%, period.
So Sherry, if you ask the listing agent, how much are you being compensated, do they have to tell you?
They do not.
Well, that's, ask Cheryl, we had that conversation regarding listing that will be, going to be expired. I'm telling you, I know, it wasn't in my
I didn't think
dream.
either agent had to disclose what the compensation is in their brokerage agreement, because that's between them and their client. But I'll double check with
So
them.
that sounds great. I'd love to know that so we can say when you have to disclose, you don't have to, but I'm more on your line, I didn't think you had to. If she said you heard Cheryl say it.
But you know what, I don't go that route, because I don't say by law you have to, disclose.
Well, I'm gonna say if
But really pisses you off, but I think you have to be very strong with that. You've been on the market, you have other this, and don't show all your cards. Negotiate for your buyers,
Okay, Scott, you had something.
I was gonna say that when you put the other agents, like you spoke about, on telling them that everybody else is paying 3%, you really put them on notice, right? Because they have to go back and tell their client that, look, we've got interest, but when they're coming back, they're saying that but everybody else is competing, you're competing against, they're all paying 3%. It also gives you kind of an idea of, when you have that conversation, who you're negotiating with, right? It kind of tells you what kind of, how, if there is some desperation, if you've been sitting for 90 days, they may come back and say, well, yeah, we're paying 1%, but if you give us a good offer, we may pay more.
But I ignore that sentence. I don't, it doesn't even bother me that they're telling that. Like, go ahead, tell me whatever, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great, next. I don't care. I care that I will get 3% if they're coming with me, and I cannot even tell you how many times they're getting it from relos also. Well, I'm paying 40%, well, not my problem that your listing is a relo, that's your problem, not my problem.
Like, anybody else out there?
But you gotta be, I come strong, but I'm trying to be like really gentle with them, but being very assertive to say, listen, we need 3% in order to make this deal work. And what I do say also, my buyer's gold. So I want them to chew a little bit and to have them understand, we're not gonna come on every little thing on the inspection, because that's what a lot of sellers are afraid of, that, well, I've gotta leave a little bit of room in case they come back and ask for the moon. So I present it in such a way to say, look, we're not gonna ask you for anything. Sometimes I may even just say as is in order to make that deal work, because I know doing through or even prior to doing the inspection, I can pretty much figure out if the house is okay or not okay, right? Except mold or radon and things like that, which anyhow the seller has to fix. So you have some tools in your box to go back to that listing agent and to say, look, we'll buy it as is, or we're not gonna ask you anything on the inspection unless it's termites crawling through the ceiling, things like that. So give them some kind of a lollipop to the listing agent so they can go back to the seller and say, look, this is a good buyer, and we have over 700 credit score, and you can talk to the lender. Here is a letter from the lender. We are ready to go. So incite them because they are trying to either A, convince the seller, or B, cut on their own commission.
Right, anybody want to add anything to it before we move to sellers for a minute? Anybody want to add anything else to that? Something that's working for you guys and that you tried? Are y'all seeing a lot of commissions out there right now that are in 1% and 1.5%? Is anybody seeing a lot of those out there right now? Anybody? Can I ask that question, Sherry?
Yeah.
Huh? Okay, great. She's my person that says yes or no right now. Yes, sir, Brad.
Hey, just for a minute, it's sort of risky with you working with a buyer and you're coaching them a little bit based on your walkthrough to possibly let's go forward and make our offer as is. because after the fact, if something is found, they're gonna tie you to that.
So I never buy as is, I'm just gonna tell you, unless it's an investor. I should say I never, my client don't buy it. But I do say, listen, we're gonna go back and, you know, there is a conversation that you have with the listing agent and it has different verbiage versus a conversation that you have with the buyer. So the conversation that I'm having with the listing agent is more in that line, right? This is negotiation. And the right, just to throw them in, right? So they can reiterate that to the seller. That's what they, that, maybe I wasn't clear on that, right? Right, and the buyer doesn't even need to know this.
Yep.
I don't even say anything to the buyer. I'm just having a whole conversation to get my 3%.
Well, so let's move on now, Shelley. So how do you handle a seller when he says, I tell you what, I've been reading a lot about this for the settlement, and I don't have to pay the buyer's agent anymore. Why would I pay them? They're negotiating against me. So how do you handle those objections now, Shelley? Are you even having them?
So rarely I have it, but I may have a seller, they'll say, I'm just willing to pay 2%. So to the buyer's agent, right? So I pull out active listings that are competition to us. I call each, so usually there are, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 of them. I pull out I call each one of them, ask for what is the buyer's compensation or tax. And I literally hand it to the seller and said, all right, let's go over our competition because we all wanna know what competition, right? Right. Okay, and by the way, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, okay? So you tell me, let's just put yourself in the buyer's shoes for a moment. Why would a buyer go to you versus them? And by the way, that house has a nicer kitchen and a nicer bathroom. So I don't expect a reply from the seller. I guess I'm planting seeds. Let them, they have like to, you know, they're gonna be in the defense mode right now. Let them just chew on it for a little bit. That's number one. Number two is, I try, and I'm always successful, to put it on the contract and say, hey, if in the next 3 weeks we cannot, if you don't get a buyer in the next few weeks, then we're moving it to 3%. I mean, sometimes you don't have any other choice.
Right. Guys, what do you think about that?
And you know what, and the seller realizes pretty fast once they sit on the market that she ain't stupid. She brought me these active ones that are all 3%. I'm still offering 2% because I have half an acre and they only have a third of an acre, therefore I'm only gonna pay 2%. They gotta sit on it to pay electrical bills, to pay taxes, HOA fees, mortgage fees, that hurts.
Tell me what you think about that. What are y'all hearing out there? What are you hearing out there? Christy, what are you hearing out there?
I would agree with her, I mean, the thing is, things are sitting now, so we start talking about days on market and price reductions. Those are all reasons why you wanna come out strong, and I say, part of my listing practice, I wanna make sure that we are taking care of the buyer's agent as well, because that's gonna bring you a better offer. And more showings.
And how do y'all like this explanation? What do y'all think? Good? Powerful? Strong? Yeah.
We're
Guys,
bringing you all the tools to help you sell your house.
what else are you doing? And are you having success most of the time, Shelley?
Yeah, I mean, I had, you know, I think my entire time I only had, this past years, I had one seller with 2%, set on the market for 60 days, dropped the listing price by $100,000 and then gave 3% to the
I think sellers are asking the question about that commission split, but they're still on board with paying it.
So I don't see it as much now, the whole conversation, because old news are old news, it's not anymore new news. So unless you were really listening to, unless for some reason you know, your neighbor told you, somebody else told you, but that conversation is not being, I don't have that conversation. I do say it up front. Okay, this is what customary it is, and, you know, so explain the legal part of it. But I don't get any more, you know, I don't get any more, feedback bad, you know, against that.
How many of you are having conversations with sellers right now about the NAR settlement? Anybody? Anybody having that now?
Old news.
I mean, it's not in the news anymore, is it? It's not on CNN or Fox, whatever, it's not on the news right now. So has that helped you with your ability to just do business as usual?
Yeah, completely normal. Yeah, the only thing is that now you have to, you know, it's a little bit more headache with the F-258 and you have to, you know, but usually now I just text. I don't even send, I mean, if they're asking for $258, I'll send it to them, but otherwise just text them, tell them 3%. Or whatever, whatever you made a decision to say.
Okay.
That's not an issue.
So basically, you're able to, with your buyers and with your sellers both, to get them to where you need to be because you're a great negotiator.
Because I try my best to do, you know, am I always successful? Maybe, probably not, but you've got to, and that's where I make myself so know to say, so I listen to podcasts, there's all these different podcasts, on KW you can also listen, there's a lot of videos and podcasts, you can listen about negotiation, and script with yourself. If you don't have anybody to script with, just talk to yourself. Shelley talks to herself a lot.
I do too, I talk about stuff.
And Shelley refers herself in the third person.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah, Shelley say, okay, this is what I'm saying, I'm gonna say, this is what I'm gonna say. So, yeah, just really scripting is like super important. I have 2 partners that I script with on a weekly basis, and I listen to podcasts, so that helps me. And always remember, the less you talk, the better you are.
So Sherry, when did the NAR settlement happen? Last July?
It was April, but didn't go into effect until
August.
That's right, so Sherry, what's the biggest change that you noticed as the compliance person in our office in that whole NAR settlement? Has there been any substantial changes in the way we do business?
With the listing agreements, the way the 2025 listing agreements are laid out, and you have 3 choices for seller paid compensation. The first option is, I'm not gonna state what I'm willing to pay, but it's negotiable. Or second option is you state the amount, or the third option is I'm not paying any. I'm seeing more and more sellers select that first option that, hey, I'm open to it, but I don't wanna commit to an amount yet. And I'm seeing more listing agreements with that option being checked.
Really?
And so Sherry, so the one you said you're seeing a lot is the one that says, I'm not gonna say how much I'll pay,
But I'm open to it.
but I'm open to it. All right, so as an agent, how do you use that for your buyer, to where the buyer does not think, well, the reason that you got more commission was because I paid the seller more? How do you overcome that objection? That's what I would think. Am I thinking correctly?
From the buyer's agent or from the listing agent?
In other words, as the buyer, I might think, well, the reason you got 3% rather than 1% because I paid the seller more.
Well, the buyer may not know about this.
They may not know about that.
He probably, then we'll never know.
Yeah, the buyer doesn't know what's in the listing
Gotcha.
agreement per se. And if I'm the buyer's agent and I call to do my due diligence to see if compensation is being offered and what amount, then I wanna make you an offer. The listing agent script is, you know what, the seller's open to the conversation, put it in your offer. And then that's when you include that broker compensation and you put, and this is the key right here, guys. If you don't know what the compensation is that the seller is offering, always put that the compensation is coming from the sellers, not from the selling broker. Because it's an ethics violation to ask it from the brokerage when you don't know who is paying it. And then if it's incorrect, the listing agent will correct it in the counter. But put what you want there, shoot for the moon, especially if you're offering a full price offer. I mean,
I agree.
Ask for 5%, then they give you 3%, they're getting a good deal.
exactly, yeah.
Exactly.
But you gotta ask from the sellers, not from the brokerage.
Yeah,
Shock and all.
One of our really big teams here said that they thought it was a great time for a buyer's agent to ask for whatever they want to ask for. To ask for more commissions, it's a great time to do it now because you can now ask that, which I love. But Shelley, share one more time though, go over one more time just for everybody. So if you cannot ask the seller's agent for part of their commission, but you can ask the seller to pay you the commission. Is that what
Right,
you're
if
now
you
saying?
don't know who is paying the compensation.
Right.
If the listing agent says, just put it in your offer, the seller is open to conversation. When you fill out that 259 buyer broker compensation, you've gotta ask for that the seller is paying it, not the listing broker, because we don't know who's paying it. We're not privy to their listing agreements. So it needs to be asked for from the seller.
And even if they tell you, right, you and I had this, I always get this confused. Even if let's say if they tell you and you have to send the 259, you're still gonna put in seller to.
Well, if the listing agent tells you, you know what, yes, we're offering 2%.
Right.
And say, and then your next question needs to be, is that from the listing broker or is that coming from the seller? If they say it's coming from the listing broker, great, you're gonna send your the buyer broker compensation 259. You're gonna have 2% from the selling broker, but then you're gonna go down 2 lines and put 1% from the seller to get your total of 3.
Okay.
You can't ask for the total of 3 from the brokerage, but you can ask for that other 1% from the seller.
All right, guys, what questions do you have, Shelley, script-wise, or Sherry, don't ask me because I don't know, but what questions y'all have? Well, what are you running into out there? You're like, well, here's reality right now. Anybody? Anybody? Is this pretty clear, you all think? Pretty clear, everybody got it? Okay, anything else you want to ask Shelley at all? Shelley, great job, let's give her a hand. And I'm glad I'm not negotiating against you, Shelley. I will lose for sure, okay. All right, next. Red Day's coming. All right, tell us about Red Day, come on.
So Red Day's coming up on May 8th, so please mark your calendar. The office is closed. We all need to give back to the community on that day. It's in honor of Mo, for her birthday every year. So please don't schedule your closings if you still can. Don't schedule those appointments. We've got a bunch of different options of ways you can participate. We've got 2 different charities. One of them is gonna be the Phoenix Senior Living. So we have a very small group that's gonna go and help with some games, a little cooking class and some activities there. There's a morning appointment till noon, and then there's another one from 1 to 5 in the afternoon. And then the big group is gonna go to see Family Promise. That's about 15 minutes away. And what that charity does is they help support people in transition and homelessness for women and children and families. So they're helping them get back on their feet. So they have a facility that we're gonna go help spoof up a little bit. So we'll do a little light landscaping, nothing too strenuous, doing some painting inside and just kind of making it a little bit prettier. So that one has room for 50 people to support that. We'll do some in the morning and some in the afternoon. And then just to make up your day more fun, after you volunteer or before you volunteer, come on into the office for lunch, and we've got our great partners are gonna serve lunch here at the office. And then we'll do happy hour at Atlanta Hard Cidery, which is near the Big Chicken, afterwards to wrap up our day and tell our stories. So I hope you all come. Everybody would have seen an email from Kimberly to click through to Sign Up Genius or whatever one we're using, and put your name on whatever you wanna volunteer for. So make sure you RSVP for the lunch and the happy hour so we know how many people to count for, so we've got plenty of food and drinks. But we hope we see you all there. Probably at Family Promises, because the other one's filling up already, so yay!
One of you that don't know who Mo Anderson is, Mo Anderson was the president of our company, CEO, that Gary hired when he fired himself. And Mo is the one that took our company from good to great. Mo, she is 87, I think, this year, and she has more energy than most anybody in this room. She's an amazing lady. So this is for her birthday, and we celebrate her birthday. We're doing this, guys. And this will be one of these things that you will like, I probably don't have time for this, but make time. It will bless you. You'll go, wow, I had the best time that day. So guys, please put it on your calendar and join us on May the 8th for the many activities. And thank you, Stephanie Can, for making this happen, okay? Career night, you want to talk about that? One of you two.
What you got, Angela?
We are having career night
City
on
Beach.
Wednesday from
Tomorrow.
6 to 7. Yes, tomorrow. Thank you. If you know of anyone who's interested in becoming a realtor, or if you want to add someone to your profit share, to your downline, have them come out to get some info about the business and about our office.
Well, as you're building wealth, if you're not building wealth by growing your downline, you're missing one of the streams of income. Because guys, it is so nice when you wake up on the 21st, you go, oh, there's $450 in my account that I didn't have yesterday, guys. So guys, please think, who do I know that will be good in real estate? Reach out to them. You need to put it on your social media to say, hey, we're having a career night. You can learn about real estate, come do it, guys, because this is a great way for you to have one more source of income. And as you get my age, you want to have multiple sources of income so you can stack them if you want to. So great. Coming up tomorrow, kitchen and bath renovations. This is something you all asked for and we listened to. It is on Thursday, April 24th, 11:30 to 1, in person only. They're going to talk about what's hot out there in the kitchen renovations area. That's going on this Thursday.
Kathy wanted to say something.
What'd you say?
Kathy Radler wanted to say something about the class.
Okay, Kathy Rattle, say something.
Hey, Jim, can you hear me okay?
What? Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, cool, yeah.
Would love to know if y'all can come to this just because the folks are bringing lunch and they wanted to know about a number if possible. So let us know if you can come. It'll be it's going to be just about an hour and 15 minutes, but you'll get something you can turn around and use with your buyers when you're shopping for a home.
Cool, I love this. We haven't done it in a long time, Kathy. Thank you for taking care of that and arranging that. That's great. All right, please RSVP, guys. Deal or no deal, rental property, lunch and learn. Guys, Jordan Rush, this is one of the subjects she loves to talk about, guys. And guys, if you're thinking about, I want to grow my wealth by having some rental properties, guys, this is a great place to come and see what she's doing, guys. And so please join her. And again, that's Monday week from 11 to 12 in person with Jordan Rush. And Jordan, thank you for being willing to do that, guy. If you want to know how to do it, guys, this is the place to come because she'll be here. I'm willing to share with you. That's coming up. Market Matters, guys. This is something that we do once a quarter, so it's coming up again, Wednesday, April the 30th, from 9:30 to 12. And they're going to talk about the national and the local market, the luxury market. So guys, come and pay attention to this. It's just about 15, 20 minutes away in the city of Sandy Springs. And so please come join us. Save the date, June the 7th at 10 a.m. Check in at 9:30, Merchants Walk. Do you want to talk about this?
You know where?
Again, this is not a complicated question. I've never seen y'all speak
Come to
before.
our movie party.
Exactly right, yeah.
Invite your spirit and join us. These are the movies that are playing.
What's the middle one?
Mission Impossible.
Don't put it on Facebook, please.
Tomorrow I'll be reaching out to get everyone's co-branded flyers.
Correct. Thank you.
Yes.
You got, this is such a no-brainer. It's like, everyone should do this for the databases, guys. You get to invite them to a movie, you get to call them and say, hey, come and go with me to a movie. The price is exactly right. So come go with me to a movie. It's happening on June 7th. Just put it out there and Heather's gonna get with you guys and give you a flyer, send out to your database guy. You say, oh, I don't know how to touch my database. This is one way to touch your database. Don't put it on social media though. Lessons learned. Come on, Sean.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Good, good morning.
All right, seeing as Jim already took one, what was that?
We're looking at the grammar, lessons learned.
Lessons.
I am not the person to come to for grammar, so lesson learned. Jim just brought up one of the things. I got a couple of things real quick. I'm gonna be fast. Profit share. Yesterday, for those of you that don't have profit share, the 21st is the day that hits your account. It just shows up. You don't have to do anything for it except refer an agent to our office, right? Any office, any Keller Williams office, right? So I looked through just briefly because I was curious as to what the profit share in our office looks like. And without naming names, some of you are getting really large checks. I saw one check for $3,200 for this month. I saw one for $2,300. And it just shows up, right? So make sure that you're thinking about that when you're talking to great agents that you're working with. See if we can put them in her downline. And when Shelley said that she likes to try and talk about people, putting them in a profit share, she's not lying. She calls me or Jim all the time. It's like, hey, this guy, right? I feel like I'm working for Shelley over here, okay? Which is great. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Do you know how much money we profit shared last year with our agents?
No, but you can tell me.
145 million.
145 million bucks.
This office?
No.
I don't think so.
Shelley's really good.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm missing my part of that.
Profit share was $145 million last year.
That's a lot of money.
More than that, that's right. So it's not insignificant, guys.
No. I mean, $3,200 a month, I mean, that's a mortgage payment for some people, right? I mean, that's a pretty good deal. Next thing, Sherry asked me to talk about this. If you are going to show a property, do not just show up and open the door and show the property, all right, unannounced. Go through showing time, that's an ethics violation, all right? We had a couple of agents in this office, one of which got a $500 fine for doing so because they showed up unannounced to show a property without scheduling it, okay? The other one was vacant. Even if it says vacant go show in the private remarks, which 97% of them do say vacant go show, and then down below it says showing service showing time, go ahead and put the showing request in. It's probably gonna be automatically approved and then you can just go and you don't have to worry about it, right? But one of them, both sellers were really mad. One of the agents of the seller decided to file an ethics complaint. So that's a big deal. And the last thing I want to talk about real quick, a lot of you guys have been seeing all the stuff with Zillow and Redfin about the CCP stuff and the private listings, and Compass is on the other side of this. So basically you got Zillow and Redfin and Compass, and they're in a standoff and they're trying to dominate this market space. Compass really wants to push, they've been pushing their private listing network with their clients and their agents a ton for the past probably 3 to 5 years. They've been doing this for a while, ever since they kind of came into the business, right? Came to fruition. So the NAR did not repeal CCP. They just said that you have the option not to disseminate it to all the global websites. Yes?
Clarify CCP, what is that?
Clear cooperation policy. And that just requires that all the listings go in the FMLS, and it requires that everybody can see the listings. That's what it is. A lot of people wanted that to be repealed, specifically Robert Revkin, who is the CEO of Compass. He's a big proponent of this because he believes that it inhibits competition and it hurts sellers because all that information that Zillow puts out is hurtful to sellers, like days on market, like price history, like all of these things that could potentially hurt a property. So what just happened was Zillow and Redfin determined that if a listing was in a private listing network, right, at any point, they will not allow it. It will be blacklisted from their website. That's a big deal. They're not going to allow it. So if it goes into Compass's private listing network, their company-wide listing network, right, that they have, they will not allow it to go into Zillow. They will not allow it to be on Zillow or Redfin. Okay, Homes.com is on the other side of this and has said, we'll take all the listings. Anybody that wants to show up can be in our system, right? All right, so the caveat being, if you have a listing that is marketed only to our office, like the people sitting in this room, the people on our agent roster, if you market it to them via email or however we disseminate that, it can still go into Zillow and Redfin, right? It just can't be marketed anywhere on the internet without going to FMLS and without going into Zillow. Does that make sense? Because technically Compass's private listing network is web-based and is going and being disseminated to other offices that Compass has. So you cannot do that and still be on Zillow and Redfin.
But when you say can I go on the internet, I can still put it on social media.
Yes, you
That's
can.
internet.
So it's a gray area, right? And who makes that decision? Zillow and Redfin are gonna make that decision as to whether they're gonna allow your listing or not. So I think Zillow has overshown their hand here. They want to control, all right, my opinion here is they want to control all of the information. And they're fighting for that control here by disallowing any sort of competition.
So
Okay.
who's gonna detail on my private listing?
Who's gonna, I don't know.
You know what I mean? Or
You think
Compass
Zillow has the
said-
technology to scrub your social media?
That's a lot of agents with a lot of social media.
Listen, I hear you, right?
And for all matters, I can take the private listing off.
That's fair. Yeah, So that was just something I literally just read. I'll send this article out to everybody. It explains it in detail, just kind of what this is. But basically it's Zillow and Redfin, and you got Refkin and Compass on the other side over here. And I say Refkin, he's the CEO of Compass. And he is a huge proponent of repealing CCP. Because he wants private listing network for his company so that he can have his agents doing both sides of the deal and they're keeping all the deals in-house. So, yes, ma'am.
2 questions.
Yeah.
Technically for our office, when we have a listing agreement signed, it can no longer be private because it
Correct.
has to go in MLS.
That's correct.
So that doesn't really apply to us
Correct.
because we have to,
That's right.
and how does that benefit the seller if it's private? If I can only sell it to
So
another.
It could be-
I can answer if you don't mind.
Okay, fine.
You go.
See, this is why she's good at negotiating. She didn't give me a choice. She said, I'm gonna answer, you stop talking. Go ahead, Shelley.
So I do private listings, that's like my go-to.
Sherry didn't hear that.
Sure hears, I tell her, you know, I don't care. So how does it benefit sellers? Sellers that don't wanna show the house to gazillion of people walking through, that is the perfect clientele for that. And there are many people like that. And they know that their house can sell.
So for your people, it negates the, I didn't get the full exposure, I could have gotten more money.
Correct.
If you had
So,
gone to
okay,
market.
so that's an objection, so I'm gonna come and say to you, I'm gonna get you $100, and if you're okay with $100, then you may not get 105 or 110, but if you're okay with $100 and you're happy with that, then we can go ahead and private sell it. And these clients don't really, you know, if they get, so you usually see it more on the higher price point, but they don't, you know, if I get $5,000, $10,000 less, I'm
They're
okay
private
with.
For the,
Yeah.
for the part-
And I'll give you a perfect example, I have one right now that the wife is ill and she lives at the house. There's no way that I can show, there's just no way that the logistics behind it, that the wife is sick, that I can have a super lot back there. I mean, that will never happen.
So
That's the kind.
we'll use a neighborhood specifically. Let's use Atlanta Country Club. A lot of the houses in Atlanta Country Club trade off market in the sense they don't ever hit the FMLS, or if they do, it's merely for, you know, production numbers, right? It's not because they're trying to market it. Those houses, you know, that neighborhood specifically, most of the time that house transacts inside of the country club, you know, sphere, right? So there's really no need for that person. You may still represent them, right? And good for you for getting in the middle of that deal and finding a commission, right? That's really awesome. They could make that deal with an attorney and not need any of us. So the option for people to be able to do that, you know, especially intra-office is a big deal for us. So, yeah, I just wanted to give that information. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, Zillow allowed to have, for sale by owners listings, just for that. How would this CCP apply to this type
The for sale by owners?
of? Right, and then they hire, let's say Shelley, to represent. But previously it was listed just for the.
So clear cooperation is specifically with brokers, with realtors, NAR members and brokerages.
Does not apply.
Does not apply to the consumer. Now, because they can be for sale by owner and listed in Zillow, they can list it on Facebook, they can put it wherever they want, right? But once they engage the services of a realtor, right, this is an NAR policy, CCP is. Yes, ma'am?
I was always confused, if I put it in coming soon, that means I can't send coming soon listings to my daily update clients because it's not active. But yet Zillow can pick it up and Zillow can blast it out. So how is it that is not a wall? That's why these private listings are becoming pushback, because they're not honoring our coming soon status and pulling those from them.
Totally agree.
So but why are they allowed to do it, but I can't send it on the MLS?
Because you're bound by your FMLS rules.
But yeah, we give
They're
it,
not.
but MLS will give it to other people.
You know, I wonder if the end result will be that FMLS will actually, you tie their hands, and they will reduce their .0012 to maybe almost nothing.
They'll tie your hands, but they're gonna sell all
No,
the
I'm just saying, we tie their hands, but having more private listings, and they'll figure it out that, you know, maybe if I'll do a flat fee of $25, they'll be okay.
Well, it's setting up a battle, and what the article that I read basically said that this standoff is effectively asking for government intervention. Even so much so that one of the parties has already asked for the Justice Department to step in. And the last thing we want is the Justice Department or the government to step into our business. So, it's one of those things to keep an eye on and to watch. It doesn't materially affect how we do business. Our FMLS has always had the option to opt out of disseminating things over the web, as long as it's an FMLS, you're compliant. So the FMLS was ahead of the CCP ruling the NAR made, a month and a half ago. So, what you got, Reed?
Well, if you think about Zillow and Redfin, both own mortgage companies also. For example, the way it's being pitched is, if you go into Zillow, if you get pre-approved, we'll just show you the houses that you qualify for. And so from a convenience sake, that seems very good. But then the problem with that is, once they get that bulk of the business, even like Rocket's doing now, they don't have to provide either service or value to the client, because I don't know about Kyle, but I'd love to compete with Rocket because we can beat them every time. But it is a monopoly, or headed toward a monopoly, and that's why you said inviting government intervention.
Well, and I think Zillow and Redfin are taking the stance they're taking on anything that's been a private listing not being allowed on their website. Because even if you as an agent start a home search, you're not going to the FMLS to search for a house immediately. You're gonna pop the Zillow app open, you're gonna search a neighborhood, and that's how you're gonna at least see it on a very surface level, what is out there and what's available. It's just way more user-friendly, right? And so they're trying to leverage the fact and hoping that is strong enough leverage to make people acquiesce to what they want. So,
Guys, so in
thank you.
more than 40 years of real estate, I cannot tell you one major thing that's changed our way we do business. I can't tell you one. We were told when we who remembers the listing books? I remember them. I remember the listing books. We used to have a book that had all of our listing side of it, and the brokers held those very tightly, like this. Because you had to come to the broker to get information about it. There's no internet. And then when the internet came out, we were told, internet's gonna shut us down. We're not gonna do this anymore because they don't need us anymore, because that never happened. So guys, all this stuff that they're doing right now to sort of see if they can win this game, they cannot. Because guys, we are an anomaly in this office. We're a mega office. Most real estate companies consist of 4 to 5 agents. And that's it. And they do not belong to a Keller Williams or Berkshire Hathaway. They just have Jim Alexander Realtors. And that's the way most real estate in the United States is sold, in small towns. And they also typically insurance agent. They sell real estate and sell insurance also. So guys, so the idea that they're going to control the whole market is ludicrous at best. And what we have is we have big boy syndromes out there where they think they can do that. Good luck, guys. People are trying to do it for a long time. Gary Keller was accused of, well, you're going to start your own listing association. No, he's not. He doesn't have the power to do that, guys. So I get that.
Can I add one thing to that real quick? Just to be very quick. We talked about the downline stuff. We talked about you helping us recruit agents. I talked to a Compass agent yesterday that just joined. This private listing network is something that they are really pushing hard to recruit agents. It's a huge recruiting tool for them, right? They think that this is gonna be the next big thing. So keep an eye on this. And if it starts to go south in the direction opposite of Compass, that's a great time for us to talk to all those Compass agents and say, hey, this big value proposition that they offered you when they signed you on, this is not gonna actually happen, right? The law is gonna, or the way the market is turning is not gonna favor you. So let's get what the brokerage is doing the right thing.
Guys, this is not new. Harry Norman Realtors years ago, they would hold listings for 24, 48 hours so we could show it to our agents and we could sell them first. So guys, this is not new stuff. Everyone's been doing this for years, guys. They just put a new name on it, guys. And so just realize, just go out and get more listings, do your business, and let them play those games. Because our game is to do what? Sell real estate. Can we give Shelley a hand one more time? Enjoy your day, thank you so very much. Yes,
Wait,
ma'am.
what?
I'm so sorry, I forgot about.
I almost got left alone.
Wait,
Oh my God.
they changed the whole format. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Shred and purchase this Saturday.
Say again?
Shred and
Oh,
shred
please
and
talk
dump
about
is this
that, yeah.
Saturday. I sent out an email this. I don't know who signed up in this room, but I sent out an email, oh, you are. I sent out an email this morning with the times to arrive, what to bring. It's gonna rain on Saturday, right now it's gonna rain at 12:30, we should be done by 12:15, so hopefully as we're leaving, the rain is coming. It'll be 78 degrees, so if you need to wear sunscreen, make sure you have closed-toed shoes, because we'll be out taking trash to the dumpsters. And if you have any questions, let me know.
And I apologize in advance.
No, you're good, you're totally good. We shifted so many things so quick. We used to go at the beginning, it was at 9:30, now we're in the middle
You're
of the
worth waiting on, Kyle.
Well, thank you, kind of. Thank you guys so much. And this will only take about 45 minutes. So the first thing I wanted to mention is before career night tomorrow, we are having a 3-hour CE class called Market Like a Rock Star with a 4-time Grammy winner, Ty Anderson. He's the bassist for a band called Third Day, almost like Green Day, not that. It's really great. It's about marketing. It's really, really helpful. I've been in it a couple of times, and he's excellent when it comes to marketing your brand. A lot of different ways to do so, and so that'll be tomorrow. If you could RSVP either by scanning that fine or texting me or Hunter if you're going to be able to make it. Again, we're doing lunch, so obviously we want to make sure we have enough. So that's tomorrow, very exciting. And then something that Supreme has been working on for quite a while that we just rolled out is we are now adding non-QM loans to our toolbox. And so if you know anything about lending from a general perspective, there are qualified mortgages, which is what QM stands for. That's conventional, FHA, VA. Those are guaranteed or they are insured by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, HUD, or the VA. So they have those backing in the event that those loans default. Non-qualified mortgages are not insured by conventional FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, all that stuff, i.e. jumbo is a very significant one. But in addition to that, we've got bank statement loans, we've got DSCR loans, which are for investors. Hard money falls into that sort of thing. And so we, over the past year, have looked a lot into non-QM, and about 80% of those loans done nationally are made up of bank statement loans and DSCR. Bank statement loan is for an individual who is self-employed, who does not file tax returns, and we are basing their income exclusively on 12 to 24 months of bank statements. So we're taking their total deposits, calculating their income based on those. The biggest thing to consider with that is we need credit in a good, strong spot, and we need money. They have to have down payment, typically 10, 20, 30%, depending on their credit. The other most common one is DSCR. Ultimately, that is an investment property purchase where instead of you using your own income to validate that you can afford this property, we're exclusively looking into the ability for that property to rent and pay its own mortgage. So it's almost just verifying, hey, this house has a $3,000 a month mortgage, it'll rent for $4,000 a month realistically, for example. So therefore it is self-sustaining on its own, we don't have to look into the buyer's income. So that's huge for, again, self-employed people, non-self-employed investors, that sort of thing. So there are a lot more types of those loans. Ultimately, if you get in the mindset of you have a person that has good credit and money to put down, we can find a way to get them a house. But the most common one is like business owners that either don't file their taxes, they write off a ton because they just want to reduce their tax liability, but they still make a lot of money and can show that. So I just wanted to say that we are adding the supreme speed in customer service to what was otherwise sort of a rocky type of loan program, and a lot of unknowns. We've straightened them out. So it's super exciting. We're going to continue to expand on that, but I just wanted to.
So what's that credit? What are you looking for in terms of credit score?
High 600s is ideal. I've got one, and they really do get individual. So I've got one where they had a bankruptcy. Right after the bankruptcy, they had a 60-day mortgage late this January. And so I inquired about it. They're selling their house and want to buy a new house. Conventional FHA, there's no way for those. But my team said if they can get their credit score from like 590 to 620, they can do a 35% down loan and get it. If they get it only up to 600, they can put 40% down and get it. So they're not based on AUS, the automated underwriting system. They're not based on a guaranteed black and white set of guidelines. It's more of an individual risk assessment of the repayability. So again, when I was an underwriter, I was asking my underwriting manager one time about a risk-based thing. I said, hey, this buyer, they just started the job, and she said, how much were they putting down? I said, 50%. She said, Kyle, if somebody's putting down 50%, they could be anything short of an axe murderer, and we could probably get them approved. And so this is much more literal of that. Obviously, if you're in prison, it's harder, but aside from that, yeah. So just in terms of pivoting and also there's been a lot of deregulation on the non-QM side of things, just with the political movements lately. So it's opened up the opportunity for these loans to make sense and fit into our existing structure. So I'll stop going on about that, but they're cool.
You're cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Question kind of similar, but aside from that, there was a ruling about a month ago that prevented a lot of immigrants from being able to buy.
Correct, FHA. It is, it used to be that there were some non-permanent resident statuses, so work visas, things like that, that could qualify for FHA loans for a long time, that's what it was. Not as many as conventional, but the ruling was that HUD will have no part of non-permanent residents anymore. So, if you can't qualify for conventional, then there are, again, non-QM loans that allow for tax ID, foreign nationals and that sort of thing, but HUD no longer allows for that.
So they have to have the credit and the cash to be able to get on.
Yeah, either or get their credit up a little bit to go conventional, because conventional is still very inclusive about that sort of thing.
Yeah,
And is it still the same down payment, or is it, they're putting down more?
No, that'd still be 3% down, or even 100% financing for some conventional loans and stuff like that. So there's still a lot of creativity. The main part about that is just their credit has to be in a good spot for conventional, yeah.
What is the difference in interest rate for non-QR?
It is, I would expect a higher interest rate. So let's say interest rates right now are 6.5, for example. I would say 7.5. Some of them with lower interest rates, or with lower credit score, 8.5. So there are, for example, if you were to get an investor with a hard money loan that has a shorter term and a balloon payment, those are inherently just 8, 9, 10, 11%, depending on some of the scenarios. The bank statement loans that have good credit and good down payment, those aren't gonna be astronomical interest rates. But the general mindset, especially if something like a bank statement loan, is if you're not willing to pay Uncle Sam, you're gonna have to pay here, And so if you want a house, you can have it. Obviously, your tax liability might be $100,000 and you're not going that route, whatever it might be. So origination costs set forth by the lending company ultimately, it's gonna be a little bit higher. Maybe the interest rate's gonna be higher to offset it, but yeah. So I would expect higher, but it's not, again, that's a case by case. Yeah.
Thanks for coming. I'm gonna watch for that ending, Kimberly. Thanks guys, thanks for coming. Good job today.
Sorry we ran along, hopefully it was working.
Thank you.
That was a great discussion. I like this discussion.
Yeah.
What you got for me, girl?
I just got myself a jelly.